Kyle is new to progressive reloading presses and has been spending some time loading 45 ACP on the Dillon XL-750. That's what we're going to demo and discuss in this video. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. We're back with Kyle Shields. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us.
You're welcome.
That's right. Kyle has his own reloading channel. He came to work for Ultimate Reloader, but he hadn't worked with mostly rifle reloading and a little bit of single-stage pistol. Is that right on your...
No pistol actually ever.
Oh, no pistol ever.
Yeah, only rifle and only single-stage.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the majority of what Kyle does here is to shoot with cameras and to edit videos. Mm-hmm. But with his reloading background, I wanted to get him on camera and have him help out with some of our more complicated stories, which inevitably, with reloading, involve either super detailed, super precision rifle stuff, or these progressive presses that have many different stations, a lot of different complicated mechanical mechanisms, and so on and so forth. Okay, so a little bit of background info. I started out with the Dillon XL-750. That was my first Dillon press. I had a few progressives prior to that. The 650 is a similar press. The biggest difference is the priming system. The Dillon XL-650 has what I call the telephone dial. It just increments one hole each time the press is actuated. Primer drops into a hole and it goes around until it gets to the priming area. Punch comes up through the telephone dial, punches it into the case. And the downside of that is if you're running up the press, checking your powder charge and all that, it's not an on-demand priming system. Every time you pull the handle, it's going to spin that little dial. So I actually had a little press tweak, I think, to turn that off or whatever. The only advantage it had is it was self-cleaning. You know, as that little telephone dial rotates, it kind of picks up kernels of powder and all that and kicks them out into the little ski jump, it's called. Okay, so the 750 addressed really what was my biggest complaint about the 650. The caliber changeover took a little bit longer, a little bit of safety issues with the telephone dial. That's all gone now. Okay, so the 750 is kind of a greatest hits design collection, in my opinion, for a 5-station progressive reloader. Dillon is known for their quality. One thing that you'll find on these presses is these plastic pieces make the case feed switch over from one cartridge to another really quick because there's nothing to adjust. You just pop the pieces in and it's kind of ready to go. Now, you came into this relatively cold.
Right.
Tell me about your process. I just kind of handed this to you and said, go figure it out.
Right.
Tell me about that process. The press was already fundamentally set up for 45 ACP.
Pretty much. So for this, I just grabbed the powder that we were going to use, in this case, CFE-Pistol, dumped that in, put on the DAA powder.
Low powder sensor,
yeah. Yep. And then installed this click knob, which we just talked about as well. And started pretty much loading with it after loading some cases in, and it was ready to go. Just double checked everything, made sure the overall length was good, used the dial to dial in my powder charge. No, in fact, primers were already installed too, so I just kind of was off to the races. It really was just a matter of getting it put on the inline fab mount here. So yeah, and this was my second experience with a Dillon press. My first one was with the 550.
Right.
Doing some, I think 223 or something, I can't recall. But
yeah, I think we set that up for the Rock Czech Olympics to do a bunch of practice ammo and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I did some ammo, reloaded some ammo for that, and I always said the 550 was my favorite press that I never used yet until I got here. So, and it is. I really like that press, but I've come to grow into liking the 750 as well. They're both very, very intuitive. Like, I was actually surprised how intuitive both of the presses were.
Yeah.
So they're really, really fun and nice to operate.
Yep. So you're going to want to check out the Progressive Press Shootout if you want to decide which progressive is right for you. And then we also had a separate deep dive video on all of the Dillon progressives, from the Square Deal B, RL550C, and the BL, the basic loader. We've got the 750 in there and the RL1100 with mentions of the CP2000, which is the case processing press. Okay, so other resources here on the channel. Kind of where I've landed is for medium volume pistol loading, I really like to use the XL-750. If I'm doing precision rifle ammo on a progressive, I'll grab the RL550C. Now, if you're on a tighter budget and you want precision and you want to do pistol and you want to do rifle, but you're not as picky about the efficiency of it all, the 550 would be a great press, I think, for that type person as well.
Yeah.
But if you're doing higher volume, if you're doing rifle stuff, as well, the 750 is really great for it. There's just a bit more to it and kind of more parts and pieces and all that. And I think the precision is just a little bit better if you're doing, you know, PRS kind of ammo or whatever on the 550. So setup wasn't bad. And then let's talk about the load real quick.
Yeah, so we're just using CFE-Pistol, 5.9 grains.
Yep.
The Berry's 180 grain.
185.
185.
Hollow base round nose. Yeah, I'm used to 180s too.
Yeah.
For 45 ACP.
I know.
Yeah.
So first time loading these. In fact, I think this was probably my first time, or maybe second time loading pistol. So all new to me, all alien coming from precision rifle, single stage stuff. So yeah. So basically, dropped some new cases in and found these Berry's bullets and made sure all the case feed system was working great. It was, and then just started loading, really. So
back to the load for just a second. One of the things that you're going to want to be extra sure of with 45 ACP when you're setting up your press is the cartridge overall length.
Yeah.
Because bullet seating depth greatly affects internal case volume, and that in turn greatly affects peak pressure. So if you've got Grandpa's old World War II sidearm 1911, you know, or anything older with more questionable metallurgy, you know, you're going to want to be extra careful about that. And it's always a good idea to make sure that your pressures are proper. So make sure you find the correct load data. Make sure that your powder charge is in the right charge weight between minimum and maximum. Good idea to chronograph the loads. We're going to do that in our follow-up story where we're going to deep dive on these 185 hollow base round nose bullets. And then function checking as well, you know. So we'll do a little bit of that in this video, actually. I like to load 10 or 20 rounds and take whatever handgun, or maybe two. This is a great combo. We've got a Glock 21 and we've got a 1911. Those are two different types of pistols, and if they both like the 45 ACP we're turning out, you know, good. We might even screw on a suppressor and try that as well to see if it cycles and functions properly. Really good stuff. Okay. So why don't we next have Kyle do some loading? So one of the things that I like to fab up real quick for Dillon presses is the case feed shutoff. Do you want to pull the pin real quick?
Sure.
As it
Right
were, if you have a piece of coat hanger or something similar, this will cause the little rotating piece to stop in its fully retracted position, so it won't swing out and grab another case each time. So little DIY project for you. Makes things really nice. You don't have to empty the drop tube. So why don't you go ahead and run her up?
Yeah, sure. Let's get a case fed in there.
One thing I'm always focused on with the progressive is all the way down and all the way up.
That's why I've noticed that I'll do that too. I'll push even if I'm not priming anything. It's just trying to keep that mental consistency going.
Yep.
And then checking the powder as well.
And one thing we've got going on right here is we've got the DAA powder funnel, the powder through expander going, and we don't have any case lube, so it's a little bit more friction going on that.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Still pretty smooth overall though.
Yeah.
All right. Now, ready for a bullet. There we go. And my speed, I'm still working on that since I'm new to progressives. I don't tend to go really fast just yet.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly kind of fumbly when I'm handling bullets. I tend to drop them. So I just save myself a trip to the floor and go a little bit slower.
Yep. No, that's definitely good. It's never a good idea to be in a hurry when you're loading.
No, it's not.
Efficiency is great, but not at the cost of safety.
Right, yeah, you definitely don't want to be questionable of what you just did and have to load hundreds of rounds and go back and check that. And I'm pretty sure you've been there before, and I haven't, and hopefully not. I won't have to say yet.
Yeah.
But it happens to all of us, so just, double check everything that you're doing for sure.
Cool, well, why don't I jump in next? All right, so looks like we're good. We have powder where we need it. I, out of habit, put my hand here on the back of the press so that as I'm pushing, we, believe it or not, have not bolted this table down yet because we move it around in the studio for certain things. Also, I'm thinking we should use a shorter inline fab ultra mount.
Yeah.
Because we've got this pull out of the powder through expander right there, and it kind of is at a funny spot.
It is.
So I think some case lube definitely would help, at least on the inside of the cases there. But it's really not a problem per se.
No.
Sometimes you'll find that with brand new cases. There's no carbon there. Oh, is that
Our primer.
primers?
Primer, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll stop to refill those. Okay, so here's what we did. We added primers. I took all the cases out and shot them with one shot, and then we rubbed a little bit of Imperial case sizing wax on the expander, the powder through expander, just to kind of get it lubed up a little bit. Probably not necessary because things now are running super smooth. See how much better that is?
Way better.
A little goes a long way, and kind of my philosophy is if you're using something that's fairly dry, like one shot, it's almost kind of a why not kind of a thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially good for bulk.
Yeah. And it would be interesting to compare the once fired brass as well to see, you know, with a little bit of carbon on there, carbon never really comes completely off.
It's true.
Would that expander pull out a little bit better? I could swear with rifle cases I've really felt the difference. So people get their brass really, really squeaky clean with ultrasonic, and sometimes you run into friction problems, you know.
I've never ultrasonicked my brass. I always felt that was too much. I'll use it for gun cleaning, but
I think it's totally unnecessary personally,
Yeah.
but to each their
Each their own.
Yeah, I'm more about functionality with the brass than getting it to look as if it was brand new.
I think that's why a lot of people still go by dry tumbling. You know, just chuck it in there, good to go. Don't have to mess with anything.
As you know, that's kind of our default here.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta try this to believe it, just to see how much better this is with the case lube.
All right, let's do it.
So there's a question for you guys. Do you feel like it's worth it to use case lube when you've got carbide dies? If you don't have carbide dies, you need the case lube for sure. And we're talking pistol here.
Yes. Yeah, that is a lot smoother. It's crazy what such a simple thing seems like makes such a huge difference like that. So
Yeah. Okay, well, I say we go and shoot some of this stuff. What do you think?
definitely sounds
All
fun.
right.
Not quite.
Definitely favor the 1911, huh?
Yeah, that would make sense from my experience.
Okay, so shooting was fun, and we have some good news and we have some bad news. The good news was 100% functioning in the 1911 and in the Glock. The bad news was Kyle and I were not 100% functioning.
Not at all. I need work with pistol, that's for sure. A lot more practice.
Me too. You know, I haven't been doing a lot of handgun shooting, which shame on me. I live on a range, right? It's right out the back door. So
I know.
We made a resolution, more shooting, right?
Yes.
At least shooting every Friday, if not every day of the week,
Get
right?
some practice.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But tell me about your impressions of the ammo itself, shooting the 1911, shooting the Glock.
Yeah, the ammo was great. Like I said, no functions at all, or no malfunctions at all. It ran perfectly. Seemed accurate. Anytime I finally got locked on target, it seemed to hit. So, there wasn't much opportunity with 2 shots per, but cool.
Yep.
And I definitely favor a 1911 over a Glock. Sorry, but I just do. That's just me. And I have small hands, and yet I favor that full frame pistol. So I don't know. I do a little bit better with the 1911 than a Glock, but when I first shot that Glock, when setting this all up, I was actually pleasantly surprised how well I did within the first few shots. I kind of got the rhythm of it and dialed in and was hitting all the shots sequentially after that. So
I think the 1911 is a lot more straightforward. It's basically a straight back trigger pull, whereas the Glock I view as a more dynamic trigger because of that striker fired trigger, dynamic. So the guns are 100% functioning along with the ammo as a combination, and the press was 100% functioning.
Yeah.
Loaded a couple hundred rounds real quick, and really nice. The case lube made a lot of difference. So the one shot, I think I'm going to go back to running that on all my progressive loading with carbide dies. It's just so much smoother, and I don't even worry about removing it.
No.
The dry film is like...
It's so clean. It's hardly there. You don't even notice it.
Yep. So success, lots of fun. Let's load a whole bunch more ammo before we put the press away too, I think. We need some ammo for the shelves. It's pretty bare back there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Cool. And don't forget to catch all the other videos that we've been publishing about Dillon presses. You're going to want to check out the Progressive Press Buyer's Guide. You're going to want to check the Dillon Progressive Press Buyer's Guide that we put out as a standalone video. We've also got a whole bunch of upgrade videos. We've got the RL1100, the Square DLB. We got videos on all of them. Our question for you is, two questions. A, what are you loading on your Dillon? What cartridge? What are you shooting it through? Which firearm are you shooting? What are you using it for? And then B, part two of the question is, what other Dillon content do you want to see right here on Ultimate Reloader? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Thanks again, Kyle.
Appreciate it.
For putting the work in to get this thing set up. We're going to go do some more loading and shooting. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.